So I had no sense of guilt.
Are you religious?
No.
Do you believe in God?
No.
It was actually probably the happiest year of my life, that year of German occupation. For me, it was a very positive experience. It's a strange thing, because you see incredible suffering around you, and in fact, you're in considerable danger yourself. But you're 14 years old and you don't believe that it can actually touch you. You have a belief in yourself, your belief in your father. It's a very happy-making, exhilarating experience.
You must help save the world first.
Then you can take over that world.
First, the first thing you have to do before you even start to build something new is destroy everything. You have to destroy the trust in every institution. You have to change the history. You have to change our language. You have to scare people into silence.
We have a foundation in Ukraine, and it happens to be one of our best foundations. They refuse to leave, and they are leading civil society. I also want to mention that there is one person who was very deeply involved in Ukraine, and that's Biden. In fact, I got to know him with regard to Ukraine. He had a lot more patience than I had in trying to convert Poroshenko into a democratic leader. I fed up with him and I told him so, but actually Biden kept on trying to convert Poroshenko into a Democrat.
Great. Thank you, George.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a
hiding
violent and bloody
nearby,
end. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this
whispering, do or die.
In the U.S., he is known as a major Democratic political donor and one of the foremost philanthropists focusing on democracy, with lifetime giving that tops $16.8 billion. Born in Budapest, Hungary in 1930, Soros survived the country's Nazi occupation and emigrated to the United States, where he began his career in finance. In 2020, Soros gifted his birthplace over $1 million to help prepare for the coronavirus pandemic, as part of a $130 million commitment for COVID-19 aid worldwide. With his personal experiences influencing his philanthropy, Soros established Open Society Foundations over 40 years ago to promote democracy and human rights around the globe. With an annual giving of $1.2 billion in 2020, the Foundation's causes range from economic equality and justice reform to anti-discrimination. Amid the protests for racial equality last year, the Foundation committed $220 million to support leaders in Black communities across the United States.
Then you need to flex your muscle while you're destroying it. Make sure you teach people, you stay in your place.
I will help save the world first.
You have to build something else that it collapses into.
Okay, Farah, how about you let me do the business, all right? Hold on.
From here, Firtash is repurposing his business empire, pitting it against Putin.
Are you helping the government move weapons around the country?
We transport whatever they give us.
But Putin's war isn't Firtash's only fight right now. He's facing extradition to the US on international racketeering and conspiracy charges involving bribery an 8-year battle that could be decided soon.
They don't even allege that I had bribed somebody, but only intended to organize this.
But are they right?
100% no. There was no reason for that. Because for me to bribe someone, I need to profit from this. I never benefited from this.
The charges are convoluted. Allegations of bribes for Indian officials to sell him cut-price titanium for a US aircraft company. Firtash believes his problems with the United States are geopolitical and began more than a decade ago when he was backing Ukrainian politicians perceived as pro-Putin. Now both his fights are fusing into a perfect storm. He's been stuck in Austria since his arrest on the US charges in 2014.
I am pretty sure that the whole affair was incorrectly assessed by the US government. For some reason, they've concluded that I am pro-Russian, and this doesn't match reality. I've always been pro-Ukrainian. I was trying to make a deal with the prosecutor's office so that they let me go home for the period when the war is going on to defend my country.
And they said no.
And they said no, so I am forced to spend some of my time defending myself.
Soros says the Asian currencies would have collapsed even if he hadn't been in the market. They were overvalued. He says people tend to follow his lead because he's been so successful.
I think that I've been blamed for everything. I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
To understand the complexities and contradictions in his personality, you have to go back to the very beginning, to Budapest, where George Soros was born 68 years ago to parents who were wealthy, well-educated, and Jewish. When the Nazis occupied Budapest in 1944, George Soros' father was a successful lawyer. He lived on an island in the Danube and liked to commute to work in a rowboat. But knowing there were problems ahead for the Jews, he decided to split his family up. He bought them forged papers, and he bribed a government official to take 14-year-old George Soros in and swear that he was his Christian godson. But survival carried a heavy price tag. While hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews were being shipped off to the death camps, George Soros accompanied his phony godfather on his appointed rounds, confiscating property from the Jews. These are pictures from 1944 of what happened to George Soros' friends and neighbors.
You're a Hungarian Jew who escaped the Holocaust by posing as a Christian.
Right.
And you watched lots of people get shipped off to the death camps.
Right. I was 14 years old. And I would say that that's when my character was made.
In what way?
That one should think ahead, one should understand and anticipate events, and one is threatened. It was a tremendous threat of evil. I mean, it was a very personal experience of evil.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
Not at all. Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't see the connection, but it created no problem at all.
No feeling of guilt.
No.
For example, that I'm Jewish, and here I am watching these people go. I could just as easily be there. I should be there. None of that.
Well, of course, I could be on the other side, or I could be the one from whom the thing is being taken away. But there was no sense that I shouldn't be there, because that was, well, actually, in a funny way, it's just like in markets, that if I weren't there, of course I wasn't doing it, but somebody else would be taking it away anyhow. In other words, whether I was there or not, I was only a spectator, the property was being taken away.
So I had no role in taking away that property.
Hero, villain, businessman. However history judges Dmitry Firtash, one thing does seem to be clear. His country, Ukraine, needs him and his wealth right now. Whether they get it, that depends on American justice.
They're using the war to launder your image.
No, not exactly. What I'm seeing now is a situation where everyone needs to come to the aid of Ukraine. I'll say it for the 20th time. I am a businessman. This is my job. I find ways to make money.
This is a frightening set of facts that I'm going to give you today, because this is what they're building.
All right, hold on, I've got it. I will help save the world first, then take over the world.
We really are going to be into a new world order, and possibly not one we could have predicted.
You now have all the truths. The real truth.
Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
What I'm trying to say is Ted Kaczynski was right.
But the essential point that I want to make in all of this is that we, I think, are genuinely at a point of rupture in international relations.
What I'm trying to say is Ted Kaczynski was right.
Suggest otherwise would be Islamophobic. Exactly. So somebody who exhibits this type of behavior is exhibiting ostrich logic.
Social credit deducted.
And those that don't toe the line, they would lose their rights and privileges. They would lose their rights and privileges.
Look at the data. And boy, has it ruffled some feathers to dive into a complex societal issue.